Ben and Sean, two American software professionals, are traveling to Russia when all of a sudden there is an electrical short and the plane loses power. Fortunately, it returns right away, and they arrive in Moscow without incident. Their purpose for being here is to look for local investors for their software, which locates pubs and events nearby. Sen must use a marker to patch a hole in his old, worn-out suit. When they check to see if anyone is using their app here on their way to the company, they find two American females having a good time. When they finally arrive at a boardroom, they find that their associate Skylar, who has stolen their idea, and is now selling a copycat to the Russians, has already started the investment meeting. Skylar orders security to remove them after declaring they won't be needed. Later, Sean and Ben visit a club to forget and drink. When Sean finds a lady he likes, he discovers that she is dating Skylar. Additionally, they come across girls they noticed on the app and approach them. After finding out that the girls' names are Anne and Natalie, they are relieved that they can identify them thanks to their developer blog. When all of a sudden the lights go out and the phones stop working, the four of them are having a great time together. Everyone in the town rushes outdoors to view the golden aurora that appears in the sky. It lights for a short while before breaking up into light balls that begin to descend across the city, splintering into smaller pieces to cover more territory. When one of the balls falls close to Scene's group's gathering, everyone recoils in disbelief. They can barely make out a faint shimmer while seeing the fallen object from specific perspectives. When a police officer approaches it cautiously and pokes it with his baton, the light instantly disintegrates him, leaving only ash. Another police officer tries to shoot the light as the mob panics and flees, but the bullet also breaks apart. As soon as more lights enter the scene, they begin to murder everyone in their path. Scene's party dashes back into the club and hurriedly shuts the doors, but not before the light smashes through every window. This creature perceives everything as gray, with humans being the sole bright orange being, keeps attacking humans by launching energy beams at them, and pulling them into its core, when they will be destroyed. With bar supplies, someone makes a makeshift Molotov bomb to throw at the beast, but the fire manages to push it back for the time being. Skylar rushes into the club as well, shutting the door without stopping his date, who instantly crumbles. Then, Scene's group finds a supply room, where they hide with the injured bartender, after breaking out of the club via a hole in the wall. In the meantime, those outside continue to be slain mercilessly one by one. When someone knocks on their door frantically, Natalie answers it despite the worries of the others, and discovers Skylar hidden with them. The gang survives because of the food in the supply room, which is sufficiently safe that hours go by with little happening. The crew wraps the bartender's body in plastic and duct tape to prevent him from rotting, and, perhaps, to mask the stench after the unfortunate bartender passes away from his wound. Every day, there is also an increase in tension, with arguments breaking out every 2 hours. There isn't much food left for the group after 5 days of hiding. They decide to go look for the US Embassy because there hasn't been any noise for 27 hours. They arrive to find the pub utterly demolished and deserted. On their way out, they take whatever supplies they can find, and a map of Moscow, but sadly, the map is missing all of the key sites. Subsequently, they discover the streets deserted, with abandoned cars parked on every corner. Unaware of their destination, the gang strolls through the streets when all of a sudden they hear a disturbance. They try to beg for assistance from a Russian woman, who is caulking her apartment window, but she doesn't speak English, and just speaks Russian when she warns them about ghosts. The crew eventually locates the bridge that should take them to the embassy, but a cruiser has smashed into it, destroying it. When they go to Red Square, they see an abandoned police car, and begin to consider various options for crossing the river as they stroll through the city. Skylar and the girls remain hidden in the vicinity, while Ben and Sean stealthily make their way to the car, forcing open the trunk to reveal a flare gun and a better map. A dog appears to be barking at something invisible at that precise instant before abruptly disintegrating. Fearful, Ben and Sean order the others to flee inside the shopping center before hastily hiding beneath the patrol car. The thing approaches quickly and causes the car's lights and siren to go on. However, even though it can see inside the vehicle, it is unable to see the men underneath, so it quickly moves on. The two then dash into the mall to meet up with the others. They are horrified to see an airliner that crashed straight into the building as they search about. Sean and Ben believe they must go on in order to survive, but Skylar believes they should wait here until aid arrives. After talking about what transpired, they come to the conclusion that the creatures need to protect themselves with some kind of electrical field that triggers electrical appliances. In order to create warning necklaces that will illuminate if the monster approaches, they search for light bulbs. The party then proceeds in search of more cozy running attire. Sean can't resist watching Natalie get undressed. When the lights start to go out, he freezes in the display window instantly, and to his surprise, the thing walks right by him. As the creature enters the store, Natalie flees to hide amid the clothing racks. Just as it is ready to grab her, Sean abruptly pulls her aside, and gives her the order to freeze. Once more, the object passes very near to them without recognizing them, but Natalie's hair frizzes up from the electricity. Sean understands that because glass is an electrical insulator, it disables the creature's sensors. The party then departs from the mall and heads to the US Embassy, only to discover it has also been demolished. At the entryway, there are numerous shells from a gunfight, and Skylar finds a semi-automatic rifle, which he keeps for himself. He becomes a little too fond of it and begins shooting aimlessly at nothing in particular, drawing criticism from Americans in particular. While the others head upstairs to search for survivors, Skylar remains at the entryway to keep watch. However, the building is empty. Reports of what transpired are obtained in the Situation Room. Most capital cities have been overrun. Worldwide communications were disrupted for a mere 3 minutes following the invasion, and nothing that may harm the monsters has been discovered. Thus far, the only viable solution has been to hide underground. The group discovers a map with numbers on it. They are shocked to learn that the numbers are estimations of the number of survivors. Sean carefully switches on a radio that is located inside a birdcage, but the message it plays is in Russian, so they are unable to interpret it, and forces Sean to turn it off out of fear that the animals might hear them. When they dig around the city, the party glances outside and uses a rifle scope to find several balls of yellow light and smoke flowing into the sky. A whole new degree of devastation is unleashed. Sean and Ben arrive at the street just as Zen and Natalie notice a monster approaching and rush outside to alert the guys. The car alarms go off alerting that the monster is approaching. When they eventually get at Skylar, Skylar orders the guys to flee as he shoots at the creature to divert its focus from the others and onto himself. Skylar crumbles in a matter of seconds, but his scheme lets the boys get away. When the group gets back together, Sean observes a powered room in a nearby apartment building, and they assume this is what caused Skylar to leave. The trio cautiously makes its way through the city in the dark, dodging the notice of the beasts, arriving at the apartment building just before dawn. They are abruptly stopped as they proceed through the hallways by Vika, who is brandishing a gun at them and speaking to them in Russian. Thankfully, Vika is also able to communicate in English as the trio tells in English how they saw the light. She explains that she came over for the same reason, and leads them to the apartment with the light. They are shocked to see that the entire apartment is encased in a metal cage, and the cat even has a small metal structure on its body. Sergei, the flat's owner, says he's glad to see more people have survived, and that he has a diesel generator. Vika also says that Sergei converted the apartment into a Faraday cage, which is an enclosure that blocks electromagnetic radiation. It can keep critters out and is utilized on a daily basis in a variety of scientific sectors. Vika interprets the message when the group switches on the radio from the cage. It announces that a nuclear submarine is in the Moscow River, and will rescue any survivors who get there before dawn. Sergei says that submarines make ideal Faraday cages, and they also report that many submarines are performing the same action all around the world. In order to locate the submarine, the party decides to set off together, but not before getting provisions. Vika departs with Natalie and to raid the other apartments, and while they're gone, and forgets to properly shut the door. In the meantime, Sergei shows Sean and Ben a homemade microwave pistol that he thinks might be used to interfere with the monster's waveform and electrical barrier. As the girls search for supplies, animals see them within the building and advance to launch an attack. The girls flee as soon as the outside lights reveal their movements. Vika seeks cover, believing the apartment is too far away, but believes she can make it, and sets off to find Sergei's house, with Natalie trailing behind. They make it to the apartment, but they can't shut the hatch, so they take cover behind a glass table. The beast rushes inside, and Sergei shoots the monster with the microwave gun while the cat flees. It appears that the waves are effective because they cause the creature to briefly freeze, exposing its hideous body to the light. Unfortunately, it only lasts for a short while, and Sergei can't recharge quickly enough, so the monster disintegrates Sergei and turns invisible once more. Natalie rushes to light some diesel fuel on fire to hide Sean and Ben's escape as they climb out through a fire escape. Then, Anne rushes to catch up with the boys, but she moves too slowly because she is too afraid. As she gets up to leave the table, the monster notices her and begins to dissolve her as well. Though Natalie is inconsolable, Sean pushes her to relocate. The group flees as they witness the flames spreading inside the flat after making their way down the emergency stairs and meeting up with Vika outside the structure. A few minutes later, they discover that a group of metal-clad Russian police officers blocking their path are brandishing homemade shields and firearms. When the street lights begin to glow, they order the group to hide, and they begin firing at the creature. They injure and scare the monster away by utilizing gunshots, a flamethrower, and a rocket-propelled grenade together. The police clarify that although they can injure the aliens, they cannot kill them and that the monsters are most vulnerable when they are utilizing lightning. Sean chooses to preserve a fragment of a hard, black substance that was knocked from the creature's shield after noticing it on the ground. After that, police lead the group to their hiding place, where both parties divulge any information they have. The leader also notes that the river is too far away and that the area is infected, which makes the police unsure if the radio communication can be trusted. Police initially decline to accompany the group when they wish to leave, stating that they want to safeguard their property. Police agree to at least escort them to the river after Natalie makes a speech expressing her desire to return to her own house. For further protection, The two groups depart together via the metro tunnels. They toss tiny light bulbs on the ground to scan for creatures because it's quite dark down there. As soon as they begin to glow, the party runs to the subway platform to shelter while the attack's lines of light stretch into the tube. As the party jumps onto the train tracks one by one to safety, Vinka becomes stuck behind a pillar and is not found by the light. Ben returns to save her, hurling her into the track in the nick of time, but he doesn't react quickly enough, and the light quickly catches up with him, dragging him across the ground before murdering him. Natalie has to coax Sean out of his stunned state, and together they emerge from the tunnel unscathed. They soon arrive at the river, where they steal a boat and use it to navigate until they locate the submarine. They mourn their friends passing while they wait, and Sean says farewell to Natalie now since he was never able to say goodbye to Ben. They eventually have to figure out how to get the boat freed after it gets pushed aground by some debris. The police surmise that these must be extraterrestrials searching for Earth's minerals because they conduct electricity, when they suddenly witness multiple enormous beams of light hoisting metals and resources into the sky. They finally see the submarine coming at that point, but simultaneously a building beside the riverside collapses. Everyone falls into the water as a result of the debris toppling the boat. One police officer suffers a severe wound on his leg, but Sean, Vika, and the others are able to swim to the submarine. As soon as the captain greets them and says they must depart right away, Sean realizes Natalie is missing. Sean makes a speech to persuade the captain to wait for them to locate Natalie as a flare flares off in the distance. Sean is certain that the flare originated from Natalie. The submarine's technicians inspect the microwave cannon and construct a new one with better batteries before they depart. Then, leaving Vika in the security of the submarine, Sean departs with the police and as many guns as he can muster. They toss phones on the ground as warning instruments as the group goes through the streets. When they eventually arrive at a trolleybus depot, a phone ringing announces the arrival of an alien. The police bolt for cover, but Sean stumbles and fumbles with his gun. Luckily, he pulls the trigger just in time. The alien is frozen by the waves once more, exposing its hideous face and providing the police with an opportunity to fire straight at it. It is confirmed that the electricity is a shield, and that they must first use the waves to destroy it as the creature explodes and perishes. As the party continues, Natalie hears them and yells out Scene's name. She then turns on the bus wipers to show where she is hiding. The crew comes up with a plan as they hear additional phones ringing. The police stand back and let water leak from a tank truck to intensify the microwave gun's impact while Sean goes to talk to Natalie. The aliens will arrive soon, but they will not approach the water's edge. Vika then emerges from behind the aliens and starts hurling Molotov cocktails at them in an attempt to get them to move on to the ocean. After firing the microwave gun, the police discover 3 naked aliens. They then fire all of their weapons at the aliens, one by one, causing them to burst. Sean discovers Natalie within the bus, and they share an embrace. The bus doors suddenly close due to an electrical surge from an alien. Then it must move. Sean attempts to shoot the alien when some sparks indicate it is inside, but he misses due to the movement of the bus. Natalie's leg becomes vulnerable as the alien attempts to grasp hold of it and yank her away, and Sean strikes it with the waves. Then, while Sean keeps firing at the alien, freezing but not killing him, Natalie takes over the wheel and maneuvers the bus to prevent it from collapsing. Sean throws the chunk of black material toward the opponent, and causes it to explode even though he is without any real weaponry. The bus finally stops due to a shortage of electricity. The gang then flees back to the submarine, but the police choose to stay behind to guard their house, and beg Sean to inform the outside world about how to stop the aliens. Before long, the submarine departs, and a technician fixes Natalie's phone so she may get a text message from her mother. It states that she is secure, and is holed up in Penn Station with survivors. Then, as Natalie tries to kiss Sean, Vika stops them out of contempt. Later, while they listen to reports on shortwave radio of groups fighting back against the alien invasion, they examine the map of the embassy. They make the decision to go there to assist in the battle.